Hello, my dear students. Welcome once again. Welcome to my new video. And in this video, we will be studying how Britishers expanded their territories in over entire India. In our last chapter, we had studied how Britishers controlled Bengal after Battle of Buxar and before that Battle of Plassey. They also got control over Awadh, Bihar, Orissa, and to certain extent, even the Mughal Empire was under their influence. In this video, we will be discussing about how Britishers defeated the mighty Maratha Empire and how they controlled the Mysore, Punjab, and the other territories. But before we start the topic, expansion of British power in India, I would like to tell you one more thing, which is very important. Britishers were the traders who came in India and their main purpose was maximum profit. We all know that they fought two great battles, Battle of Plassey and Battle of Buxar. But ultimate control over India they attained or they gained through various policies which they made and which was in a peaceful way, not by war. Of course, we all know that war is destructive. Even the Britishers had realized that. So they had made various plans, or we can tell various strategies which can give them the Indian territories peacefully without war. And war was the last option Britishers applied or they had to gain the Indian territories. It was the non-violence or peaceful methods which gained them lot of profit in India. It's interesting, right? So let's begin it. Now, dear students, here you can see the methods used by the Britishers to expand their territories in India. There were two methods: peaceful annexation, which included subsidiary alliance, doctrine of lapse, and maladministration. And if all this peaceful annexation failed, then it was war, the last option. Talking about the British peaceful policies of annexation, subsidiary alliance, doctrine of lapse, and maladministration, all the three gained them enormous profit in gaining Indian territories. But out of all the three, it was subsidiary alliance which was very important for the Britishers, because the other two, doctrine of lapse and maladministration, was totally based on subsidiary alliance. Subsidiary alliance was an extended help of the Britishers to Indian rulers. And when I'm talking about Indian rulers, I mean weak Indian rulers, those who took the help of the Britishers and signed the subsidiary alliance. What was it and what was the causes and effects? That's what we are going to learn. Students, talking about the subsidiary alliance, it was introduced by Lord Wellesley, the Governor General of India, from 1797 until 1805. It was introduced to have the Indian control without the cost of war, as war used to be expensive. So, any Indian rulers whose security was threatened by the outsiders, the Britishers used to offer their help. And what was this help? That the Britishers will be supporting them and helping them and protecting them from internal and external attack of their enemies. So, Indian rulers have to sign this agreement. And what was the agreement? The rulers who will sign the subsidiary alliance, they have to follow the following conditions. The first one was the British troops for the protection of the Indian rulers would be permanently placed in the territory of the subsidiary state. That's fine, dear students, okay. But Indian rulers would have to pay for the maintenance of the troop. It means that Indian rulers will be paying them the salary. They will be paying, they will take all the extra burden of their training, etc. Payment could be made in cash or in kind. That is by ceding the part of his territories. Means if they Indian rulers can pay them in cash or in kind, or instead of cash they can pay some land or some property, etc. Now, dear students, the second point is very important because British troops were maintained by the Indian rulers' money, whereas the Britishers didn't have to pay any money to their own soldiers. It was paid by the Indian rulers. It was a real great, you can say, economic profit for the Britishers. The third point, the Indian rulers will be keeping a British official at his court. It was for the help of the Indian rulers, but actually it was to keep a check that the Indian rulers are following the points of the subsidiary alliance. And apart from the British officials, the Indian rulers will not keep any employ or will not keep any relation with the other European, like French, Portuguese, Spanish, or Dutch, any other. They cannot have any relations with them. Points mentioned in the subsidiary alliance is the great examples of the British smartness. They didn't have to maintain their own army, but it was done by the Indian rulers. Not only that, but the big army's training, maintenance, their salary was looked by the Indian rulers, which was economically very profitable for the Britishers. Indian rulers will not take any decisions without asking the British. Now, in this case, Britishers already started ruling them indirectly. Only for the namesake, the Indian rulers were the rulers, but all the decision related to administration was done by the British East India Company. Subsidiary alliance was very profitable for the Britishers. We will see the effects of it. You can see, dear students, in the first point, the British maintained large armies at the expense of the Indian rulers. British acquired valuable territories as a subsidiary payment. This led to the expansion of the British Empire in India. Means not only the money, they asked for the territories, they asked for the land which they could use for their own benefit, and which increased their resources, natural resources, which gave them enormous profit. The influence of the European rivals such as French, Portuguese, Dutch was over because no Indian rulers was giving them the importance. British controlled the foreign policy of the subsidiary states. Means the states, those who have signed the subsidiary alliance, their British only control their foreign policies. Disadvantages for the Indian rulers was more terrifying. The Indian rulers of subsidiary state lost their independence, we have already discussed. They became virtual puppet in the hands of the Britishers. The payment of huge subsidies led to the heavy drain of the resources and impoverishment and decay of the states. The administration collapsed. And when the administration collapsed, means when the rulers were not able to fulfill the demands of the Britishers gave them excuse that the Indian rulers are not able to take care of the kingdom properly, hence we should take control over it. And that was the second policy of peaceful annexation, that was maladministration. Means the Indian rulers are not able to rule the kingdom properly, hence the British will take the charge. The Indian rulers were fully protected by the British against the external and internal enemies. They lost interest. The Indian rulers lost the interest in doing the welfare of the people, and they started neglecting them. as they have nothing to do with the kingdom. Neither the Indian rulers were afraid of the revolts, as the Britishers were already there for protecting them. The subsidiary alliance aided the British in subjugating the powerful kingdom of Marathas. When we are talking about the subjugation of the Marathas' power, we have already discussed that after the third battle of Panipat, it was very difficult for the Marathas to get to the same glory which was during the time of Bajirao I, during the time of Balaji Vishwanath. But the Maratha Empire was already divided into five different families which was ruling the Maratha Empire, which were the Gaikwads, the Bhosles, the Holkars, the Sindhyas, and the Peshwas, the head. It took almost 43 years for the Britishers to bring Marathas under their control. We will discuss how the Britishers control the Marathas. Dear students, if you can see in this map the British territories and the Maratha territories. Here, the western part of the country, whereas some part of the northern part, whereas the central India part of the Hyderabad, the northern circles, that all part, Gujarat, parts of Gujarat as well, that all was having the good impact of the Marathas, or we can call it as the Maratha control. Whereas after the control over Bengal provinces, Bihar, Awadh, Agra, and Delhi, and the southern parts like Carnatic, after defeating the French Revolution, after defeating the French people, these territories, the green one, were under the control of the Britishers. It took, as we have discussed in the video, that it took almost 43 years to bring the entire territories under the control of the Britishers. 3 wars, Anglo-Maratha wars. Now we will discuss and see that how Anglo-Maratha wars proved very profit gaining for the Britishers, and they controlled the Marathas. Students, the cause for the first Anglo-Maratha war started after the death of Peshwa Narayan Rao I. When he was murdered, war of succession between Madhav Rao II and Raghunath Rao started. Both of them were having enough of the supporters for to become the next Peshwa. Now, as Raghunath Rao was having very less supporters for him who were supporting him for becoming the Peshwa, next Peshwa, he asked the help from the Britishers. Now, in this matter, Nana Fadnavis managed to gain all the Maratha powers united together, and they had the battle with the Britishers. The war took almost for 7 long years. In meanwhile, few of the wars were also won by the Marathas. The most important part is that neither side won any battle, as Britishers at the same time got involved in the another war at Mysore. British signed the peace treaty with Marathas. Treaty of Salbai in 1782 was signed, and Britishers accepted Madhav Rao II as the next Peshwa. In return, Madhav Rao II gave Britishers the Salsette, the area which was promised by Raghunath Rao for the Britishers if they will help him. But Britishers, although they didn't win the battle, but they already got few important positions and few important lands after the first Anglo-Maratha war. And the Treaty of Salbai gave them the 20 years of peace with the Marathas. After the 20 years of peace, after the 20 years of peace, again the situations arise when the Marathas and the Britishers got into the conflict. This time, the cause and the reason was the death of Madhav Rao II, Peshwa Madhav Rao II. When, after the death of Peshwa Madhav Rao II, Peshwa Bajirao II was appointed as the next Peshwa who was weak and incompetent. At the same time, Nana Fadnavis has passed away, which had already pricked the union of the Marathas. There was no unity in the Marathas. Marathas wasted their powers fighting among themselves for the post of Peshwa and getting the maximum territories, in which Peshwa Bajirao II and Sindhias had a war with Holkar in which Holkar defeated them. Bajirao too had fled to Bessin, where he signed the subsidiary alliance with Britishers. Britishers gave him the support. Now, here Britishers gave the support to Bajirao too, thinking that all other Marathas will be accepting the subsidiary alliance and entire Maratha power will be under the control of the Britishers, was which didn't happen. Other Maratha rulers didn't accepted this alliance. As per them, it was Baji Rao II's decision to sign the subsidiary alliance, but the other kingdoms of Marathas were independent. Hence, Sindhias and Bhosles joined together and had a battle with the Britishers, in which they lost. After losing the battle, they signed the subsidiary alliance. Now, after signing the subsidiary alliance, the Britishers, who was fighting the war the with with the Marathas, turned their attention towards the Holkars, who was an independent Maratha power. Now, Lord Wellesley, who was wasting lot of money in the war, was recalled by the British Parliament, as British Parliament was not happy with the policy of expansion through wars. He was replaced by George Barlow, who signed the peace treaty with the Holkars of called as policy of non-intervention. Now this policy of non-intervention was that neither the side will interfere in each other's matters. Holkars will not interfere in the British matters, whereas the Britishers will not interfere in the Holkars matters. The Third Anglo-Maratha War was the attempt of Peshwa Bajirao II to free himself from the British control. He was forced to sign many humiliating treaties, and hence he decided that he will make one last attempt to recover his independence. He got the support of Bhosles and Holkars, and the Peshwa took up against the Britishers. The Peshwa attacked to the British residency at Kirkiri near Pune and burned it. The Britishers struck back, means they attacked and they defended their territories, and Peshwas, Bhosles and Holkars, the combined three forces, lost to the Britishers. It was a huge win for the Britishers. The results, the Peshwa Bajirao II, as he had broken the peace treaty, he was deposed and exiled, means he was sent to Bhitur near Kanpur as a pensioner, means yearly he will get pension, or monthly he will get pension, and he will live there. All his territories were annexed and went into the direct control of the Britishers. Satara was carved out from the territories of the Marathas, and descendant of Shivaji Maharaj was placed on the throne. Although the main decision will be taken by the Britishers, of course. Bhosles and Holkars ceded large part of their territories to the Britishers, means they gave large part of the land from their kingdom to the Britishers. Holkars also accepted the subsidiary alliance, and the Maratha power was finally extinguished. Subsidiary alliance and war. The two policies gave Britishers control over the Marathas. Now, it was the other policies which gave them the lot of territories of India. We have already discussed in the video that how subsidiary alliance was the base of the other two British peaceful policies. One of them was doctrine of lapse. Now, what was this doctrine of lapse? Doctrine of lapse was when the subordinate states who have signed the subsidiary alliance and is under the control of the Britishers, if the ruler or the king he don't have his own child, the kingdom will pass into the hands of the Britishers. Dear students, let me tell you, in the olden days, in that time, the kings used to adopt the child. They used to take the adoption process, and that adopted child was considered as the next ruler. But as per the British policy, which was introduced by Lord Dalhousie, doctrine of lapse was introduced, according to which the adopted child will not be considered as the natural heir or the next ruler. This policy was implemented. With this policy, or Britishers gained the kingdom like Jhansi, Nagpur, Satara, and many others. You all remember the brave warrior Rani Lakshmi Bai. What was the conflict with her? Even Rani Lakshmi Bai had an adopted child, and as per the British rule of doctrine of lapse, no adopted child will be considered as the next ruler. Many of the rulers who had to submit their kingdom because of doctrine of lapse were angry, upset, and they all joined in the revolt of 1857, which we will be studying in the next chapter. The another process was the maladministration. We have already discussed about the maladministration. Maladministration, of course, when the kingdom was failing to fulfill the demands of the Britishers took advantage of it and gave the reasons that the king is not able to manage his kingdom properly, and they used to take control over the entire kingdom. So, either the Indian territories were in direct control of the Britishers or in the direct control through subsidiary alliance, maladministration, and through the policy of war. The another policy which gained them the big territories of India was war. As we have already discussed, when the peaceful methods failed, the Britishers turned their attention to the next policy, which was an aggressive policy, that is of war. Through war, Britishers annexed the territories of Mysore, which was under the control of Hyder Ali, who was a very great and very competent ruler. And Hyder Ali fought the Anglo-Mysore War 1 and 2, and in between the second war he died, and then second war, then third Anglo-Mysore War was completed by his son Tipu Sultan. Although after long years of battle, of course, Britishers managed to defeat the Mysore rulers, and they got captured of Mysore, as they were getting support of other territories as well. The another kingdom which was annexed by them through war was Punjab. Punjab, which was an very strong ruling area under the leadership of Ranjit Singh. After the death of Ranjit Singh, it was war of successions, as his own family members started to fighting for the throne to become the next ruler, and Britishers took advantage of them. And Britishers got into the politics of Punjab, where one ruler was getting in the support of the Punjab Sikh kingdom. The others didn't got, and later on, slowly, even the Sikh who get a fierce fighting to the Britishers, they lost the battle, and even the Punjab went under the control of the Britishers. Through war, Punjab, Mysore, and parts of Maratha kingdom was annexed by the Britishers, but it was mostly the peaceful rule. That is, we have already discussed, that is subsidiary alliance and doctrine of lapse gave them indirect and direct control over the territories. Talking about one more important kingdom was Awadh. The Nawab of Awadh, who had signed subsidiary alliance, was fulfilling all the demands of Britishers. The entire Awadh was drained economically. There was a very less amount of money left, and that time Britishers gave the excuse of maladministration that Nawab is not able to fulfill the demand, and hence annexation of Awadh became one of the important factor. Why I am talking about Awadh? Because this centers Awadh, Punjab, uh, that became the most important centers of revolt during the time of 1857. But before talking about 1857, by 1856, the Britishers had control over entire India. As we can see in this map, the subordinate states and the British territories. The darker shades areas are the areas where the Britishers were controlling the territories directly, and the lighter shades were the states which were controlled indirectly. So almost entire India was under the control of the British power, directly or indirectly. And what was the reasons behind it? What was the reasons behind it? We can see in 1856 the East India Company had a total India under their control. What was the reasons behind this? That lack of unity among the Indian rulers, that was one. Lack of organized and efficient administration in Indian states. We all know that they were not able to rule properly. Superior military resources of the company. Of course, company was very wealthy, and they could use the technology, they could use the high technique weapons that time, which was very effective, and they were economically very strong, so they could use that money for their own benefit. And naval supremacy, navy, strong navy, through which they can bring the support at the time of need from anywhere, from Europe, etc. So that was the factor which made Britishers to giving total control over India. Hope the expansion of the British power in India is clear to you. The main concept of this chapter is, of course, the policies of the Britishers, that is, the subsidiary alliance, its causes, effects, as well as the doctrine of lapse and the maladministration. So, this chapter has taught that how British were smart enough to utilize their administrative skill and get control over India. Hereafter, we will be discussing about the British policies in details, and how, after years of struggle, India will fight back